Welcome to the Heroic Roundtable, a Heroic Round Side Quest, the recap show where we revisit the latest episode of our actual play podcast and dive into the art of tabletop storytelling. Come try to seduce the dragon with your best charisma rolls. You okay?
I'm still laughing. I'm sorry.
It's fine. This isn't just a recap. This is a giggly episode of the Heroic Roundtable. Glad that you're here.
Yes.
Glad that you're here, everyone. So, hey, as we're getting into this recap, before we jump in, I got to do a shout out to our guy, Nat20 Dicery on TikTok. He sent us these amazing dice. I don't know if you can see these. Are these coming through, Kenneth? Yeah, these look good. These are insane. We have some content over there where we're showing them, but these dice were custom made for Heroic Round in our colors, and they are bad to the bone. We're like loving these. So super high quality stuff. We're hoping to get even more of these dice and make sure you guys get some. So make sure that you go and check them out. Nat20 Dicery. Okay. Good. Now, coming to the questions about our last session, what would your character title last session?
Running around.
Running around. Okay. Episode 22, Running Around.
I don't know if I have a better one. That's
I think
You can do better.
running around with the boys.
the Briarberry 5K.
Oh, the Briarberry 5K. I like that.
Oh, Briarberry Fun Run.
The Briarberry Fun Run.
Murder and Fun Run.
I wonder what would the good cause, the cause be for the fun run?
No, Bill
help us-
Cosby's not anything.
Help
to do
us.
with
Help us.
What would there's a charitable cause.
it's a charitable cause is help us kill the Manicore. Run for diabetes.
I don't usually charitable causes aren't usually about killing.
I think it's more about bringing awareness to murder in small towns.
Oh,
All right.
I'm not about
Or
that.
like-
Especially when to fund the local constabulary.
What Whiskers maybe has rabies. A run for rabies.
Run for rabies. Run to prevent rabies.
That
That
feels
could
straight
be.
out of The Office, right? I don't know.
And Michael Scott 5K. Could be. All right. So you said the 5K. Did you do one? What's your title? What would your character title this session?
Oh, I can't think of anything that's not related to running.
Gotcha, bitch, I think is what he said when he killed the guy.
Oh yeah, he deserved to die.
Fowler. We'll get to that in a second.
How about Fowler play?
Fowler play. That sounds like an episode of like a cool, I don't know, some kind of cool cop show.
Some cool podcast.
NCIS or something.
Oh, NCIS. Where they're like, looks like Fowler had some Fowler play. And it's like, wow. And does that whole thing. Something like that.
Is that something from NCIS?
It's only the most famous meme on the internet.
Is it?
No.
Is it Miami?
It's one of them.
Yeah, it's like
You
50
would
of them,
know.
that's fine.
Can we call a family member? Can we
Phone
phone
a
a friend?
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
The only one I watched was NCIS Tucson.
I want to call John's dad because I
Really?
think he's seen all of these.
Very boring. There's like 6 episodes.
These and Storage Wars. We could any Storage Wars questions, we could phone a friend.
Ice Road Trucker.
Let's call Barry from Storage Wars. He's a friend.
I think
All right.
He's a friend of the show.
So talking about Fowler, coming to you, LS, I have a question from Spectacle Guard Fan Club. LS, was that killing blow against Fowler cold-blooded or justice served?
Well, I think the intent with it is there would have to been a lot of talking out of that situation because we had multiple parties involved that were there.
Mm-hmm.
And because we have a lot of things going on, I thought it would just be the quicker solution to just call it a day and be done with it. So
Okay.
we'll see what comes out of that.
Got
Because
it.
now I might have to kill some other people, but
So maybe you were fed up. And you just decided.
I mean, nobody likes getting stabbed, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I've never been stabbed. So like he stabbed you and you're like,
Shanked.
that wasn't fun. I'm going to stab you back, but you're better at stabbing.
yeah.
You
Constabulary.
you also use the dog attack. That's true.
You did
Not
do a
on
pretty
Fowler, not on
awesome
Fowler. That was on
dog.
Squints.
That was like a dog dodge. A dog.
You got bystandered.
You got him.
Yeah. He
Okay.
might have to take a trip to the tree too. We'll see.
Trip to the
It'd
tree.
be nice. It'd be nice to, wrap up a couple of side quests in
That's
one go,
true. Could be. Okay, well, I have a question. This is for both Mac and Flavius.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Flute Daddy. Wants to know, Are you tired of chasing LS around yet?
It's been a lot.
I honestly didn't think about it, but we do it quite often.
Yeah.
I'm not sick of it.
I think it started with the Thorn Fort,
Mhm.
and we haven't been back to. We have had very little time where we've been back together.
Yeah. He seems
It's been like 5 sessions now.
like dead set on splitting the party.
It's been lots of.
Yeah, there's some Benny Hill energy, but I finding gentle wasn't really my intent. But you guys don't know that. I don't know how I got there.
Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right.
That is a good point.
Yeah, so I just woke up in the middle. But yeah, I could see how that coincides with lots
Yeah.
of chasing.
There's a bunch of chase.
Maybe he wants out of God's army.
He
can't-
is God's army.
Yeah, you can't get out of something that you are.
I am the Senate.
It is in your core.
Right on.
Free
Got
Palpatine.
it. Got it. Free Palpatine. Execute Order 66. Do it. Okay. So let's get to this group question. This is a little bit of a juicy one, a juicy topic that I've been seeing online. And there's also an element where I just want to talk about it and see what you guys think. But the question is this: what is meta playing in your mind? And is it ever okay? So first part of the question, how would you define meta playing?
Meta playing is using exigent knowledge about the game to directly influence the game on purpose.
I'm going to stop you there. Exigent's a big word. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I also don't know what it means.
Let's turn it up.
It sounds
Let's look
like
at it.
the title to a dystopian YA novel. Exigent,
It totally
Divergent.
does.
doesn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's where I'm
divergent
getting that
series.
from, huh?
look
Everyone
it up.
wears brown, but those who are chosen for the maze, they wear white.
Accidentally.
Existentially.
Requires immediate action or attention, urgent or critical. Nope, that's not what I meant to say.
It's external.
Yeah, like an external knowledge. I think
Okay.
there's a lot of ways to do it. We've been playing for so long. We know trolls need to be burned with fire, acid. We know what orcs are. We know what goblins are. We know so much about that. And so it's hard to come out with knowledge
Mhm.
where it's like, oh, we're fighting trolls. Let's go ahead and kill them with fire.
As players, we're like nearly omniscient.
Yeah.
Mm.
With AI, we are, baby. No, but
Mhm.
like we're also like privy to hear like other player situations where our characters aren't there. And so if we were to play based on knowledge that I have acquired as a player, but my character
Mhm.
doesn't have, that's meta playing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Playing your character with your full player based knowledge.
Interesting.
A good example for the Brandon, what would you give a
What were you
definition of
gonna-
that?
Yeah, I would say that it's using knowledge that you as a player know that your PC wouldn't know. Because I think it breaks down into multiple different subcategories.
Mm-hmm.
So first there's like game knowledge, right? So if you've read the player's handbook, you know that
So I don't read any of the books.
kobolds have X amount of hit points, right? Or an orc is a challenge rating of 1/2 to 1 or whatever.
Right.
So there's that part which you could be like, no, I rolled 8 damage and no kobold is going to have more than 8 hit points, so he should be dead. That's like one type of meta playing.
Mhm.
Another type of meta playing is when you're sitting at the table and if, for example, let's say that Zach has a listen roll that's really high and he hears something that the rest of the players don't hear and he hasn't shared that in game, depending on how you guys are playing at the table, right? If you act on knowledge that you hear at the table, that is also metagaming, right? So let's say that Zach heard that there was a key jingling in someone's pocket that we're following. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go get the key out of his pocket. But I wouldn't know that information unless Zach had shared that with me.
Ellis wouldn't know. Brandon would know.
Right. So, yes. So that is another element of metagaming that would come into play. So,
Mhm.
I think a good example of this type of metagaming in terms of like, I guess, table metagaming or like campaign metagaming, which we don't experience. I would think like if you're running a campaign or a module and people at the table know the module and have read it, then they know what's going to happen. I don't think that we don't experience that a lot, but I think table gaming would be like, I knew that I had a feeling that LS was going to get jumped, but I don't think Flavius would know that. And like LS was already gone. So once LS left the bar area, I couldn't turn to Brandon and be like, hey, dude, you're going to get jumped. Like, this is a trap you're walking into. I'd have to be like, am I worried about him enough to be like, hey, Mac, I'm going to go up and stand and try to find LS? Like,
Instead, I was going to sing a song.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true. Well, even in that example, in the last couple of episodes, you knew LS was being jumped because you were in the room while we're rolling attacks. You could have, at the beginning of your turn, like you could have tried to influence it and be like, I'm going to go out to the stable. I want to look at the horses. Or you could even be like, oh, I run out there, just more overtly meta playing. You had this moment in the last session where you're standing there looking at Pug, the dwarf, who's a stable hand, who saw the attack, and you're actually pausing and asking him as characters, what happened? Where did you see an elf come through here? Knowing full well that he saw and was a part of the attack. But it's like you're acting like you don't know to get your characters the knowledge that gives you enough to then follow LS. And I think that's very that's an example of choosing not to meta play, even though it's more cumbersome.
Yeah.
I think a couple of thoughts come up for me before I ask this next question, but this question in my mind is like, do you feel like it's possible for DMs to meta play? And do you think it happens frequently or not? And maybe let me give you an example of what I think about that. When you guys talk about like a plan that you have or intentions that you have, I feel like there's a possibility or a chance that a DM can do the same kind of thing and meta play their way or my way around a plot plan or something that you've done.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It's like catch-up mode in like Mario Kart 64.
Oh, dude.
Where you're beating the computer legitimately and catches up with
The
you.
SNES version?
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
The SNES version was really hard to go back and play.
Yeah.
After all of the advances. That's just like a side
I
note.
think for D&D, like a Dungeon Master metagaming, I can see that. Like if you have players really excited because they figured out your plan, or you then take what your characters have understood and then somehow make it so your enemies now get that information without like a reasonable way, that doesn't feel good, right? So I guess I never really thought about metagaming on the DM side, and that's kind of an interesting example.
Sure.
Well, it's kind of like this mentality that, and for me, it's like, it's a bad DM, but this like me versus the party.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm going to ruin their plans because I have to win. And it's like, no, man, like you've created the world, you've created the setting. Like in a sense, you are omniscient and that's okay to use that knowledge, but to do it in a way that like undermines your player's ability to participate in the game sucks.
Yep.
Like to railroad them, like not fun. We've had that experience and it's not cool. Not with you because you're the best DM.
Oh, shut up. No, I think I agree with you though. I think that there is a sense, and we see it out there, I see it out there, this idea of like the DM versus the players rather than you're playing with the players, in a sense, trying to help them, without being like putting your foot on the scale, right? Giving them the chance to do what they want to do and creating an environment for them to pull off those plans, but not like trying to fight them or combat them, What were you going to say, Brandon? Did you have a thought?
Yeah, I think that is like the third kind of category of metagaming. I'm sure there are more, but love to hear in the comments if people have other examples.
Yeah, good call.
But there is also, I say this a lot, but there's a fine line with that, right? Because if you as the DM know what your characters, the PCs have at the table, like what's in their inventory, give or take.
Sure.
And like what spells they have, how many hit points and things like that. So if you want the players to do something in a certain way, or let's say they need to scale a mountain, but they need something special to get there, right? Or they don't have climbing equipment, you want them to go talk to a shopkeeper, right? Because they're going to give them a different quest that will lead them in a different direction. It's okay to put obstacles in the players' ways that are going to help drive the story in a way that still feels like they have even the illusion of choice.
Sure.
Versus like saying, oh, you guys wouldn't be able to do that, right? And maybe in some cases that might be necessary, but like at least let them try. So there's ways to still use your omniscient knowledge that still can fit within the rules, because even though you are the game master, the rule keeper, like you can use those to your advantage. You don't have to break them all the time or metagame to get the outcome that you need. It just requires a little more knowledge of the rules and what's going on in the world and where you want it to go.
Yeah, I like that. Well, and another idea struck me when you're thinking about like other types of meta playing is back seating.
Mm-hmm.
I think back seating can be another form. And I think it happens more when you're playing with inexperienced players at the table where, you know, you guys could have while Brandon or LS is getting jumped in the stable, be telling him, do this. No, you should try this,
Right.
or make sure you make a bunch
Remember
of noise.
you have this
like,
item.
remember you have this item, like that kind of stuff.
You have a potion.
I think that's another way or form of meta playing that maybe gets overlooked.
Yeah.
But I think anytime you're trying to tell a player what to do or communicate to a player when you're not actually there
Mhm.
and like do things out of game, you're trying to give them tips rather than as a character walking up and talking to them.
Which as a player is real annoying.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like, you don't want people telling you what to do. Like,
sure. And I would caveat that I think there are some players who want people to tell them what to do, especially as we've played with like new people where they're like,
I don't know what I can
like,
do.
what should I do, guys? You know, that kind of thing. I think your role as a veteran at the table, I would urge you to be like, it's your choice. You got this. Trust yourself. You know, push them to like make a choice for themselves rather than being like, oh, you should do this. You know?
Like, should Will the Wise cast teleport or lightning bolt? You know,
And you talk to this group.
That's right.
And I think what's interesting about that, like, this goes down to table communication, how you start a campaign, how you lay it out. I think explaining what metagaming is and what that means, like when you start up a group and you say like, hey, here's what metagaming looks like. And then that gives you an opportunity to communicate kind of in an agreement format to be like, hey, Zach, remember how we tried to mention metagaming? You're kind of metagaming right now because you're actually not even close to where Brandon is.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I
if
think-
you do it again, you're out.
yeah,
of
you're
the group.
out and you have to burn your character.
That's right.
So don't metagame. But just setting those expectations, new players, other players, because in my mind, I think even metagaming goes as far as like people building their PC based on playing their character based on like articles online. Like
a min-max build.
exactly. Here's the best game. I'm like, well, like that's you're kind of bringing in this character that's been metagamed to the point of being like completely like OP. And
Yeah.
that, you know, and this is like kind of far off in terms of that type of idea, but
Sure.
I just kind of highlight that because there's a wide array of how you can explain metagaming. If you're playing a module, don't use that knowledge. If you know your characters, don't backseat, don't communicate if you're not in the situation. Laying that out as you start to play, I think, is a huge benefit for the group.
I like that.
Yeah, I also think it depends on the group, because if the DM is okay with that and they're okay with saying like, oh, wow, you see this slime or you see this like black dragon and it's like, oh no, like I got to make sure that I drink an acid damage reduction potion or whatever, right? And if the DM and the players are cool with that, then that's fine. Like if it's more fun in the game for you to do it that way, do it that way. Who cares? It's your game. But and the same, like, because I disagree about min-maxing. Like if somebody wants to put in the time to like get information from like people on Reddit, which is really popular, right? They'll be like, oh, I'm playing my first campaign and I want to play this kind of character. That if min-maxing, it's which is still within the rules, right? That's fine. Like if that's all they want to get out of their character and they want to do one particular thing really good, really well, thinking, okay, go ahead and do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like up to the groups. I think the biggest thing is the group needs to be on the same page, because nothing is more infuriating than when you go to play and you have one, like Zach was saying, like you have an expectation of like, well, okay, we're not going to, like our characters wouldn't know that this is a lich, but we know a lich and everybody's like, oh, that's a lich. That, you know, some of the players or some of the people at the table are okay with that and some of the people aren't okay with that. That's where there's a disconnect in the expectation of the sessions or the play.
Yeah, I think what you're actually starting to strike out or answer the second part of this question, which is when is it okay? Is it ever okay to meta play, right? And I think that's a little subjective, but I would love to know, what you guys think. Is there a time where meta play should be allowed, or situations and scenarios where it should be okay?
I have two situations I'll propose, right? In terms of like meta playing in a good way and then a bad way.
Okay.
I'd love to get your guys' thoughts about that. Right, your party encounters a troll, and I have two flasks of acid, and I say, "Hey guys," and Chad describes a troll, and I go, "Oh, I know that's a troll. Hey guys, Brandon, John, that's a troll. Use acid; it's going to regenerate." And our characters are level 1 adventurers; they've never encountered this before. So I know, hey, I'm going to throw my acid. Okay, my first attack, I got the initiative. I'm going to throw this flask of acid at the troll, right? Or is it a way to be like, all right, Chad, this creature, would I recognize this creature? And kind of have it lead in that, like my knowledge of nature, or do I have ever heard of anything like this before? And that allows the DM to open a form of communication, being like, yeah, you heard about trolls, like you got a really good roll. You don't know the name of it, but you've heard descriptions that these creatures have some type of healing ability. So I don't know. It's hard then, right?
Sure.
So I think those are two examples of when metagaming may be a little bit right, when you kind of like fish to see if it's okay with your DM.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I would speak to that in different versions of the game, right? Like there are knowledge checks, and that's what knowledge checks are for. We don't often use knowledge checks in that way, but a lot of knowledge checks are based on having DCs or difficulty checks that allow you to have knowledge of things that you've read about in scrolls or tomes or whatever, or heard at taverns.
Yeah.
And so a level 1 character could very well know what a troll is and its weaknesses based on their, like Zach said, like a knowledge nature roll or whatever works. Yeah. So that isn't meta playing though, right? That is fully just a mechanic of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's when the players fail those checks, wouldn't have any, like they're not from the region, right? Or, they're from the far, like icy seas. I don't know. And
actually where trolls come from.
And they find a swamp troll. I don't know. But it's something that
bearing sea gold.
They wouldn't necessarily be something in your character's wheelhouse, because there is still, I mean, like it's still a game, right?
Yeah.
You'll see things, you'll pick up on things, and
the very fact that you think it's a game tells me that you're not ready
to take it to the next level.
To take it to the next level. What was John going to say about this?
Oh, I was going to say, like, I meta play to not take action, but to check with you a lot of the times to be like, would I know about that? And you'll be like, of course, like you're like, well, at level 5 or whatever, like you're experienced, you're 130 years old or whatever. It's like, you'd know about that.
Yeah.
And so like, but I prompt those because I have player knowledge where like, I'm like, I know what this is, but would my character?
Yeah.
So I think
because you're a level 20 player.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
Level 39 player.
Maybe.
Still in your 30s.
So I would like to maybe use more knowledge checks and stuff in the future. I think that'd be cool.
That's a good idea. I think one way, and I don't know if this has happened recently, but I think there's a way I see meta playing happening a lot that I don't get mad about, but there's a way I think it happens at my tables a lot. And one of those ways is, how many hit points have you lost? Do you need healing? Like how much healing do you need? That kind of thing. I think that can be a really easy and innocuous way that meta play happens. And it actually doesn't bother me. Like as a DM, I think some DMs might be a little snippy about that, but it's like from one player to another being like, wait, you got hit in that battle. How many hit points do you have left? And they're the healer and they're trying to see.
I like taking the approach of like, can I roll my heal check to first aid to like see how injured they are?
Agreed. And when they ask me, sometimes I've seen you guys particularly ask me like, hey, do I see how hurt they are? Can I check? Like, you know what I mean? I think that's a great way to do it. And it's the exact same approach that we're talking about with using knowledge checks or using skills to try to get an understanding of what's happened in the game or what's
when in
happening.
doubt, roll some dice.
That's right. Let the dice decide.
Yeah.
I think there's two situations I can think of where meta playing has happened at our tables, and I think that they are okay. And the first one is like, and Zach and I do this regularly. We haven't as much in this because we don't have a chance to like whisper to each other as easily. But it's more like when Yeah. When you have items that that somebody else remembers about, like, oh, hey, you have this item, remember? Or like, oh, you have this spell. Maybe we could do these things together. And in my mind, or the way that I justify it is I chalk that up to fireside chats or places where your characters are all going to be sitting around and talking about like what they can do, and maybe just like traveling on the road, and some of those pieces would be there. So I don't really have a problem. Like personally, I don't have a problem with that. And then, and then the other one is with new players, because there's like maybe a good and a better way to do it. And if a new player is struggling to figure out what they want to do and they don't really know, you can be like, okay, well, you have these options or these actions you could do. And then afterwards be like, hey, so you did this, which is fine, you can do it, but you also had like these options and you could have done something like this or this or this.
Yeah.
And that helps build new players. I don't know if it's their confidence, because you're like, you could have done it better, but but gives them like the opportunity to expand their mind from playing like an RPG on like a console to a tabletop RPG, which has limitless possibilities, right?
Yeah,
like there's
like
infinite outcomes potentially.
Yeah, I like that. I think there's a difference between empowerment and abandonment with a new player. What you're talking about is like empower them by giving them knowledge, even if that's meta playing initially with those new players. Don't abandon them and leave them to flounder and guess at things and miss opportunities. Doesn't make sense to do it that way. I like that.
Yeah, don't punish new players.
Yeah. Any or haze them, right? Any final thoughts on meta play?
I think with DMs you do a lot to it. Like if your team's struggling against killing trolls, feed out, be like, hey, roll a spot check or roll a perception. Hey, you happen to notice that they seem to be gaining. Like you look down and their wound seems to be healing, you know? Or even I play with a group, not very often.
We told you to not bring up other groups.
And they are all new players. Except
those
for
idiots, those fools.
Except for my wife. And I tell them whenever they level up, now would be a good time to review your spells. Now would be a good time to review your equipment. And then at the beginning of each session, I'd be like, hey, this rogue in the party, remember you can backstab. Hey, remember ranger, remember you can do long range and short range. Like, I think what you did is a good idea. Empowerment versus abandonment. Like, these are new players. Like, I'm not going to expect everybody to know every single rule of their character from the get-go.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great call out. And I liked all of it except for where you said you play with a different group. So I'm just kidding.
I'll text him now. I think I'm done.
He's done.
He's done. He's quit it.
You all die.
He is done. That's great. Okay. Yeah, I like this topic. It's a big one. I think there's some strong feelings and opinions about it. I do want to say, I like the last word I'll say about this is there is a strong role as a DM to create breadcrumbs and moments for your players to gain knowledge about the creatures they're fighting or about the main thrusts of the campaign. And this is kind of a fun moment for me when you said that, about like noticing things, to look back and be like, how early in our campaign of Wizards Folly were you finding the Manicore spines and experiencing the blood of the Manicore and then having your first encounters? Like there's all these little like, the Manicore milk and the Manicore breath weapon and the spine, like you've had all these different experiences with it. And so now as you're dealing with the other Manicore, because you've had this experience with this one and the kitten, it's like you've gained all this monster lore in a natural way. Yeah. It wasn't like you were thrust in and now it's like, what would I know? Like it's like
I avoid the barbs.
There was,
breath
well,
weapon.
even going back to like, remember the kid who's the fool, like in the Silent Brothers and the hot dog drawing, dog with wings. Like there was like a rough drawing of the creature. Like before you even got there, there's all these things that are moving that help to create a world that has lore, that feels believable, that feels like obtainable, and you can act on it. So now that I'm done bragging about what kind of DM I am, I can move on. I'm just kidding. Is there any other comments on this before we close? Okay, one thing I want to do, and I just realized because I've been playing with these dice from Nat 20 Dicery, I forgot to highlight that these like 6-sided and 4-sided are super cool looking. So like the 6-sided dice is actually like, it looks kind of like a crystal. It's like super cool looking. It's very different, and it's the same thing with the 4-sided dice. Rather than that classic triangle, it's got this really cool 6-sided piece. So
show it from the other angle. So
what do you
like
mean?
instead of showing it straight on, show it from the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like this as well. Maybe I can kind of, it's got like both. It's really cool. I really think that's awesome. I really like it a lot. They're very cool. They're interesting. I haven't rolled dice like these actually before today or tonight. And so I'm really pumped about
They have a good weight to them.
They do. They're bigger, chunkier, and I like that they're just a little different, more unique. So thanks again to Nat 20 Dicery for
We'll
those.
put some links in the show notes.
Yes.
So you can check it out.
Yeah, links in the show notes for those for sure. Okay, so that's it for this episode of the Heroic Roundtable. Thanks for hanging out with us. We want more of your questions so we can feature those in next episode. So please submit those. And if you're enjoying the content, please remember to subscribe and leave a review. And until next time, remember to live heroic and die historic.